For Kyle's shed, we ended up running two 20 amp breakers out to it on some 12 4. Well, 12, yeah, it's 12 4 wire. So it's hot, common neutral, and common ground. We ran the wiring through the attic. It was pretty tight. We crawled up under there. The wire actually runs across this little area on my side of that chimney, and then down this conduit. It's in 3/4 inch conduit the whole way. It was a pretty tight fit. We also have one Ethernet cable in there, and then that goes through our trench that we haven't completely finished covering up yet, but you can see where it's at, into the building. And then this is the building. It looks like a construction site right now. It's a TuffShed 10 by 14, I believe, minus a little bit of the framing, so subtract 7 inches or so from that. But we haven't completely finished it yet, as you can tell, but we got everything accomplished that we were going for. We've got a triple light switch box. One goes to those two lights, the other goes to those two lights. So if it's too bright, you can adjust it. The last one goes to two can lights on the porch, which look really nice at night. We put 10 outlets in here. The power comes in here, and originally we were going to put our first plug right there too, but it was such a busy box with all the wire nuts going into it that we just decided to put a plate on it and put the plug over here. So one of the 20 amp circuits is this plug, this plug, this plug, and then there are two more on this wall. So the idea behind it is that all the appliances and computers and whatnot are on that circuit. We didn't have a whole lot of wiring, and wiring is kind of expensive. Originally, we were just going to put the AC and that plug on the other circuit, so that way it's AC and heat. But we ended up running this plug, and then that one, this one, that one, and then there's one back in this corner, and those are all on that second 20 amp circuit. So that it's a 5,000 BTU AC unit, so it doesn't pull that much power. I think maybe like 600 watts or something like that. So there's plenty left over on that leg, so we can definitely run other things on it. But it's neat because you could put a space heater on this circuit, and then if you need a little additional heat, you've got another circuit you could run a second space heater on. And then the other cool thing is if there's a problem tripping breakers, it's pretty obvious to see. Basically, the back wall and that last plug is on one circuit, and then all the remaining is on the other circuit. Oh, and the other thing is the lights are also on the circuit that runs around this side of the wall, that the computer and electronics and stuff will be on. We did that intentionally so that the lights won't dim and flicker when the AC kicks on and off. There's a big attic space. It's got a radiant barrier. It's kind of nice, but we didn't want to frame up that whole area, so and then heat and cool that much area. So we decided to just this is a TuffShed. It didn't have. We had to add two more 2x6s joists to span here to get all this stuff to work. To have enough to screw to. But it all went up well. It's a 5/8 inch drywall on the ceiling and 1/2 inch drywall on the walls. This is so now for our mistakes. This was a full 8-foot piece, and we realized that the studs are 16 inch on center. The TuffShed is really legit. Like, it's framed very well, but the studs are placed for the exterior siding to be able to meet in the middle, not for drywall. So we put that first piece up and realized it because we couldn't get those two to meet in the middle. So we just stuck a scrap piece of fence post that we had in that wall and put a whole bunch of screws in it to try to drive it together. So we're gonna have some mudding to do to fix that, or Kyle's gonna have some mudding to do because I'm leaving today. We figured that out, and then from then on, it went a little longer because every single full-length piece we would have to cut a little bit off of so it would meet in the middle. There's our picture of, I can't remember that wrestler's name, but there was some stuff in this shed when we started working, and that was just laying flat on the floor. It looked like a piece of cardboard that was just left over from something, and I picked it up, and there he was. So that gave us some encouragement the more we worked. Oh, let me talk about the Ethernet real quick. We have 2 ports there. One of those comes from the house, and the other one just goes to this other wall right there. Don't look at that little screw up there. That was our only mistake as far as drywall cutting goes. So I got here Thursday afternoon, and we spent Thursday evening running all the wires on the house side. So that was a lot of work. We got up Friday, went to the hardware store and bought most of what we needed. I think we just got the conduit stuff and the plugs, the electrical stuff. I don't think we got the insulation yet. I don't know. We took 3 different trips to the hardware store. You know how these projects go. You forget stuff. But we brought it all back. So Friday we did pretty much we got all the boxes, all the holes drilled, all the wires run, the framing done, everything roughed in. And then some of the insulation. I think we had the back wall done. Oh, we also framed out this AC. This is a window unit. At first we were going to put it in the window, and then I was like, you know what, it'd be a whole lot better on the back. So we cut a slot out, framed in a little opening. We still need to trim it. We trimmed it on the outside. It looks decent, but we need to trim the inside. Well, Kyle needs to trim the inside, but that should be pretty easy. And now the attic, I keep jumping all over the place, sorry about that, but the attic, those boards were here in the shed, like just shoved in a corner. We should have got some trim, but we didn't want to make yet another run to the hardware store, so we just cut those and use those for now. There's a nice size gap in the front and, well, in the back that trim will cover up. We used R19 insulation between the joists in the ceiling before screwing in all the drywall. So you've got an R19 attic. It's not the best, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. Then we also put a roll of R19. I think we stapled it or something to that drywall. So that's attic access. You can pick that up and move it out of the way to get in and out of the attic. So once that air gap is fixed with the trim, it'll look a little bit nicer and feel a little bit nicer. I wish I got some before pictures, but if you want to see a before picture, just go to like Home Depot or Lowe's and check out one of their TuffSheds. That's what this was. The door is actually really nice. I was a little worried that it wouldn't work well, but it's nice. There's an 1.5 inch gap between the door right here. So we bought some foam board that we didn't quite get to. We started taking all the screws out of the door so we could run it in there to insulate the door. So really that's the only thing that's not insulated anymore. These are double pane windows. I'm really glad we didn't end up putting the AC unit in the window, because it wouldn't have been a perfect fit and we would have had to try to figure out ways to seal it. Anyone that's done window units, you know what I mean. It seems like there's a lot of air gap leakage after you've installed it in the window. So they're nice temporary, but we're thinking this is going to be permanent. So this is a way we could put expanding foam. I guess you can't really see it back there, all the way around it. So we've got an airtight seal. There, you can see it there. An airtight seal. It's in there nice and solid, but it's also in there. We're never going to take this thing out. If it fails, it's going to be, I mean, we can get it out. We'll have to take the trim off the back and then find a way to cut all that insulation around it, and then it'll slide out, replace it with another 5,000 unit. It's not hot yet. It's still the morning, but it's set to 72, and it is currently 72 in here, so that thing's just kind of cycling on and off. It feels very comfortable compared to how it felt Friday. We spent all day sweating, and then, but Friday night we had half the insulation up, so Saturday we worked in here and just kept the door closed, and it kept up. I mean, the more work we did, the cooler it got. So that was really cool, seeing the insulation actually work. You know, it was 80 degrees when we started working in here, but it was 80 degrees with occasional, you'd walk by the AC and feel cool. So it was fine. But then as the drywall started going up and as all that stuff started happening, and we started keeping the door closed a little bit more, it would slowly catch up and slowly catch up and slowly catch up till at the end of the day it was where it could cycle again. And I mean, during the heat of the day, you're not normally going to be keeping that door open carrying massive pieces of drywall. So I think that's going to be perfectly fine for this is Texas, so the Texas heat, it's going to keep up. The windows, I think what he's going to do is take some of that scrap piece of drywall and run it here so you can mud and tape it and then just caulk the inside. So it'll just be a drywall framed window. We really didn't know what we were going to do about this door because it still looks like a barn door. We're probably just going to end up leaving it, but I'll let him figure out what he wants to do. One of our thoughts was if we did a really good job putting the drywall right up against this, he could probably just get real thin trim, and run it all the way around it. And, and I don't know. He can figure that part out. It's not that bad. It's just, there is some exposed drywall end there. So curious what color he's going to decide to paint it. So there you go. It was a cool project. Had a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, though. We worked Thursday half the day, and then Friday all day, and then Saturday all day. And we pretty much were up at 7 or 8 and in bed at like midnight. So here's the back side of the AC unit. The trim needs to be painted. That's just a fence post that was in Home Depot's 70% off bin on the back because it was bowed. But we're using screws to sandwich it right up against the back of the shop, so it worked perfect for us. We just kind of eyeballed that. So we caulked it. The AC unit should be fine to be out in the rain because it's designed to. Just went on all 4 sides, caulked it to keep it from getting wet. I think we got a lot done in a little time.